Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Six Blocks Apart. And of course, we have our very learned panel here in front of you. And I'd like to welcome Angela Gray Girardi. Yay!
What a welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Angela, welcome to our little group.
Yes. Okay.
So what's an exciting thing which has happened to you today?
Oh, not much really. It's pretty much the same as the day before. No, I mean, if anything, my husband opened our pool today. So hopefully by Memorial Day, it'll be warm enough and we'll be able to use
How's the weather right now?
It was actually beautiful today. Not a cloud in the sky. It was about 76 degrees. So.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And you're in Jersey, right?
Yes, I live about 10 miles north of Princeton.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice.
Oh, good.
I know the area well.
Oh, really? Do you know Hillsborough?
Yes.
That's where I live.
I lived in Bucks County. I lived in Silbury Township, New Hope.
Okay, yeah.
My husband's sister lived and her husband lived in Princeton.
Okay, yeah, we're just 10 miles north of it. Nobody really knows Hillsborough, so when you say Princeton, you know Princeton.
Yeah.
I bet you Melissa knows it.
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I grew up in New York, upstate New York. And a lot of my friends are from Jersey.
Wow.
Well, one was from, I think she was from Hillsborough, but she's in Lyndhurst. Yeah, Lyndhurst.
Okay, yeah, that's the north.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, I've heard of Lyndhurst. Yeah. I've heard of Lyndhurst. Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
That is impressive.
Yes.
So, Angela, tell Tristan what you do for a living.
Oh, yeah. So I am the head of human resources. I've worked within the pharmaceutical industry, with the technology industry, and I just recently started a new job in February. I'm working for New Jersey's largest alcohol distributor. And one of our exclusives is Tito's.
Oh.
And we also do Grey Goose.
I'm drinking.
So I
Oh,
heard
we're
that
liking you
might be-
already. Yeah, right.
That might be one of your favorites, somebody told me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an amazing industry with what's going on right now and people losing jobs and businesses losing money. The alcohol business is booming. You
I
have
would
no idea.
figure.
It is unbelievable. Even though the restaurants and bars are closed down, liquor store sale through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Now, do the restaurants by you, they are doing takeout, right?
Yes, they're all doing
Are they
takeout.
allowed to do the alcohol with it?
Yeah, they actually bent the laws a little bit, and a lot of them
here
are
too,
offering
yeah.
alcohol. So you'll get like 50% bottles of wine, which is, it's huge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what they're doing here too.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's one way for them to make money. That's where they make most of their money, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, you won't be reordering like if you're sitting in the restaurant.
right.
Kind of, you got to get what you want and then that's it. Because I don't know about where you're at, but in California, you can only get the alcohol with food.
Oh, really?
So if you don't order food, you can't order alcohol.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure.
As far
if
as
I have that
as far
restriction.
as to go stuff.
Mhm.
Yes.
Interesting. But yeah, it's definitely helping the restaurants. And, we're trying to support local places that are near us, and, because
Is there an Italian restaurant, Gennardo's or something in Princeton?
that sounds familiar.
Yeah. So are you Italian?
I am. Yeah.
That's good. So are you a good cook?
Yeah.
I think I am. Yeah. There's some people who would say,
I've rarely met one that isn't.
yeah. I do, believe it or not. But yeah.
Who's in your house with you besides your husband? Is it just the two of you?
No, my son, who's 25, he's still living at home. He's finishing up his master's degree in about a month. He's finishing his student teaching. He's going to be teaching elementary school, and hopefully will be going off on his own. And my daughter is 21. She turned 21 the day before the bars all shut down.
Oh, no.
Well, they did. They went out the night before, so at midnight. So she did get one time.
You got a sampling of what it can be like.
Exactly, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
she's in Delaware. She's a junior at University of Delaware. She's studying civil engineering. So, yeah.
Great. Well, that's good.
So
So we're
let me
semi-
ask you a question. How did you come to find our little group here?
Well, I know Tim through Rick. I kind of rediscovered Rick back in 2015, didn't realize he was still putting out new music. And as a
That's what I
result,
discovered, Rick. I says, that's when I rediscovered
Well,
Rick
that's
too.
when you
That's when I
started.
Yeah,
started.
that is when you joined, right? It was around that time.
Yeah.
So, in getting to know Tim, I also got to know Melissa. We would see each other at, different events, and they're very sweet, both of them. And I'm Facebook friends, and I saw this, and they said, "Hey, if you're interested in doing it, throw your name in the hat." So,
Yeah. I'm glad you
and
did.
of course, I
Yeah,
kind of
6
know you
degrees of
too, Tristan.
separation for all this.
Oh,
Yeah.
And Tristan, she kind of knows you too.
Kind of know you, vaguely familiar.
Okay. All right. Close enough.
She's not one of the crazy fans that'll go into your dressing room, though. You don't have to worry about that.
No.
He's got
Well, you
great
can
stories.
get at me here, so it
Oh.
doesn't matter. So.
Yeah, right.
No, I was actually a big General Hospital fan when Rick went on, of course, and I got my mom into it as well. And you were absolutely her favorite character on the show. I said
Well,
to,
you're not talking about the good old days there. You're talking about a totally different era.
yeah,
And,
oh,
it's great to look back on it. Sadly, it'll never be repeated, but it's
No.
great to look back on it.
yeah, that was one of my questions for you is, how good was it when it was really at its peak, the whole Ice Princess and Luke and Laura and Dr. Drake? Like, I
Are
mean,
you sure you want him to answer that?
But without going into too much detail, it was fantastic. I mean, it was unlike any other year that I've ever had in my life, my show business life. It was living in California is one thing because everyone's blasé about everybody over here.
Mhm.
You really can't impress anybody over here.
Right.
But back then, when you left town, and especially when you went to somewhere like on the East Coast, like Boston or New York, New Jersey, any of those places,
Yep.
it was a riot. It was a mob scene. You couldn't move. You had to have security.
Wow.
You had to have people looking after you.
Mhm.
You went into a hotel. You took over an entire area.
Wow.
It was, I can't explain it.
Yeah, there's pictures of that.
In fact, I for one particular appearance, I had my parents
It was Jackie Zeman too, right?
and Jackie Zeman, yeah. We were in New York, and it was at White Plains, New Jersey, one other place. And we'd been told there were going to be problems before we even went there.
Wow.
And the organizer was kind of set up for it. So we were at these, it was 3 separate department stores, a chain. So we go into the first one, which is in New Jersey, and we drive into the loading dock area, backed up to one of the elevators, and some cops came in and said, "Okay, you park here, you leave the motor running." As soon as I heard that, I thought, "Ooh, this is not going to be normal." So we get out, and there's a loading elevator. We get into the elevator and go up, and they had the stage built outside of the elevator.
Mm.
The elevator stayed there. The minute we got up there were 3,000 kids in the store,
Oh my
and they
God.
closed it off.
Wow.
They'd already trashed the store.
Oh,
And we get out of the elevator, and it's absolute nuts. There's this wave came forward. All these kids at the front got crushed,
my
and the organizers said, "Get them out of here now." We were
wow.
on stage for fully less than 10 seconds.
Wow.
Down we go to the cars, bang, off we go to the next one. And the next one was exactly the same. And so finally, we're going into the third one, and I sat down with Jackie and I said, "Look, so far you and I have worked a grand total of 30 seconds." And I said, "We've gotten, we're not doing anybody any good. These kids aren't, they came along to see us. They're not seeing us. They're getting crushed." I said, "The next one, we've got to take control of it." So we get to the next one. It's the same setup. Drive into the loading area, back up, bang, leave the motor running, boom, boom, they go up in the elevator. So we go up in the elevator, and the same thing happens. So I grab the microphone, And I said, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I said,
Yeah,
but
I
it was
don't need
something to the effect of, shut the fuck up.
Oh.
That's what I was going to guess. Yeah.
Right.
And everybody went hush.
Because it
There
sounds
were about
adorable.
2,000 kids in the store. And they just, I said, everybody sit down.
Did they
So
listen?
Jackie and I sat down on the edge of the stage. And I said, okay, this is what it's really like supposed to be.
Fans from all over New England came to Boston's John Hancock Hall just to see their soap opera favorites make a public appearance. But Tristan was the one they really came to see.
It's a great adrenaline kick when you first run out on that stage. You know, everyone starts to yell and scream. That's a tremendous charge, and there's nothing, I can't explain what it's like.
So we started passing the mic around and answering questions. And we were there for about, I said we should be here for as long as we could. We were there for about 45 minutes. And everybody was happy. We got up to walk out. Nobody screamed or yelled. They all said goodbye, but we're going to write to you, whatever. They got downstairs. That was that.
Wow.
So we get back to the hotel. And Jackie and her family apparently lived out in New Jersey, I think, at the time. And so we get back to the hotel, and we were staying in what was at the time the St. Moritz Hotel. We had one entire floor.
Oh, wow.
So we're in there, bang, and everybody, all of the managers and owners and stuff of this department stores came back. And they're all saying, what a great time it was. Yeah, we did $300,000 worth of damage. Do you want to come back next week and we'll do this again? I'm going, are you kidding?
That's wild. So
That was my first experience in New York.
Oh,
Wow.
the first one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
There were others that came later, but that was the first.
But did you say in the beginning of the story, Tristan, that your parents were with you?
Yeah, and there's a whole story about that.
Did they come to the events with you when all of that was happening?
They were in the country at the time, and the organizer said, look, I'll fly them over and put them up and make sure they get looked after. They can't come in a car with you, but we'll have them looked after. And so what happened was he gave them his own personal limo that they were driven around in. So they were separate from us. And he came up to my father.
I heard to say they weren't in the trumple with you.
Yeah, that would have been scary.
Yeah.
Well, the organizer came up to my dad and he said, Ron, under no circumstances are you to say anything to anybody, because they're going to hear that accent of yours and they're going to figure out what's going down here. And Dad said, okay, fine, no problem. So what happened was Mum and Dad were let out, not through the normal doors, but the crowd was all taking place down the road. And they were out up the road, so to speak. And they had their own car. And so after it was all over, this was the first one where the riot was. They're just standing on the sidewalk waiting for the limo to come around and pick them up. And this guy comes up and says, sir, do you have the time?
Oh, no.
Dad looks at him. My mother looks at him and goes, you shut that, you don't say anything. And Dad's just standing there. And finally the guy's asking him, he won't go away. So Dad goes, the guy looks at him like, you're retarded or what is wrong with you? And walks off. Well, all of a sudden something happened. And someone said, hey, look, that's Tristan's parents up there. Let's go up and have a talk to them.
Oh,
Bang.
no.
Finally, the car they got in, gone.
Oh, good.
But yeah, it was all full of stories that whole weekend.
Yeah.
Wow. So was it always like that? I mean, from there on, was it always like that, Tristan, when you went out?
Yeah. During 81, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even when we were dating in the mid 80s, it was kind of like that.
Yeah, you came along later, didn't you? You didn't get involved in all of that.
I came around later.
All the words that come out for this couple. It's just.
Yeah, she didn't like it all that much. She had a bit of a problem with it.
Yeah, she doesn't know people. It's not fun for her.
It's kind of difficult to be a part of something like that when you're on the outside, when it's so overwhelming. It's overwhelming for me.
But it stems back to Teresa saying that she's basically shy unless she knows you.
Right, exactly.
So, oh, come on, not anymore. Nah.
Well, even today, I mean, when we go out with Rick, the first time we were with Rick, I think it was Disney maybe, I was scared because they were grabbing at Barbie, and I remember putting my arms around Barbie.
Yeah.
And that was nuts. You know, she's so tiny. And, and they kept like pushing us and pushing us.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm doing.
No, the Disney World, we've done that a few years where we play just in Disney World, just an outside thing. And then when they need to get Rick off the stage to this area, people start running after him, and it's sort of like that. I mean, because normally when he leaves the stage, you're not having to cross a public area, but when you're crossing across from Disney World, like everybody can just follow you. So it's kind of weird. You're like, whoa, this is
pretty wild. That was my first.
It's a funny thing, but you think to yourself, okay, here I am running around here, and there's there's 500, 600,000 people all running after me. What do you think you're going to do when you catch up to me?
Oh,
what do you have to do? Tear my arms off?
They haven't figured out.
Broken legs.
What
are you going to do? Huh?
They want your attention. They want you to talk to them.
Okay, all you got to do is say, hey, you don't have to sort of run after me and, beat me to death with a bat or something, or, start ripping off my body parts. I mean, it's just, it's a strange conundrum.
Yeah, it's interesting. Angela, have you ever been to Australia?
I have. I actually just went this past January.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Summer.
What part?
Yes. We flew into Melbourne, and then we went to Sydney. So we were only there for 10 days. It was just my daughter and I. The boys stayed home. And my daughter was studying abroad in New Zealand. And even though I couldn't continue on with her to New Zealand, I had to get back to work. We said, why don't we make a little trip to Australia first? And she was supposed to go with some friends, and it didn't work out. So we said, let's just do it. And it was amazing. I mean, we were in Sydney for New Year's Eve, and we had perfect view of the bridge and the fireworks. It was just amazing.
Did you go out in the harbour?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you go on one of the harbour runs from a circular quay, which is where the boats come, and go up? Because there's a lot of restaurants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was beautiful there. Yeah, I actually had a local who was kind of hosting us in a way. I met her on the 80s cruise, and she's from Australia. Oh. And we heard that I was coming. She says, "Oh, you have to look me up." And I figured I would take her to dinner, but she ended up kind of being our guide the whole time that we were there.
Wow.
Good to have somebody to tell you where to go. Yeah, that can make a huge difference. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was really nice. But we had such a great time. It was just too short. It was
10 days to go that far.
Yeah, and unfortunately the fires were kind of at their peak at that time. Even when we went to see the Three Sisters, it was so smoggy and foggy that you could barely see them. Wow. But we still enjoyed it just the same. And then when she went on to New Zealand, I mean, the pictures were phenomenal that she took in New Zealand. Yeah, that was.
How long was she there?
It was only about 6 weeks she was in. Yeah, because they do it over their winter break instead of doing a whole semester.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So it was really nice.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, great experience.
Yeah, it's interesting that New Zealand has declared that they have solved the corona problem.
Yeah, well,
they're fully opened up, and everyone's saying, how'd you do that? And they're basically saying we used common sense, so consequently it doesn't have any effect over here.
Right.
Well, and they can restrict travel also.
Yeah, they can restrict a lot more.
They are an island, so you can.
Well, they closed down earlier than anybody else. and you know they did a lot of the right things,
Yeah.
whereas we didn't do that.
That's true. No. Now, how is it in Jersey now? I mean, obviously you're still sheltered in. Are you going to go along with New York's?
We tend to shadow New York. They just closed the schools for the rest of the year in New
Yeah,
York. We haven't heard that yet in New Jersey, but I think it's coming. I'd be very surprised. You know, there's still new cases every day, new deaths every day, so it hasn't flattened out to the point where they're comfortable. They did open up the state parks and golf courses.
Oh, good. So people
So
get
it's
out.
kind of
in
a
a nice
trial to see if people behave themselves.
Yeah.
And that's
Unlike here in California.
Yes, I saw the footage from that. Wow.
and that's the whole key, because they showed how they just opened the floodgates in Georgia basically, and they've had, it's like already peaked again.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
like,
they did? I didn't hear that.
fine,
Wow.
fine.
It's too bad.
Yeah, they said there's like 1,000 new cases in one day.
Yeah.
To work every weekday, right?
Yes, yeah, because we are considered essential services because it's alcohol.
You
Yeah.
are plus.
They are.
Yes, there you go. I don't know how HR translate into essential, but yes. And you know, at first I was a little freaked out by it, but out of the 200 people in our office, I'd say there are only about 30 who are showing up to the office now, and it's mostly, you know, upper management, and you know, just have very limited contact. And I eat my lunch in the car. I won't dare go into the lunchroom, and you know, just trying to keep a low profile. So it's been fine. And I think if I would have been working from home this whole time, I'd be losing my mind. My poor husband, I mean, they started right when this all began, before they were even mandated. He works for ETS, the ones who make the SATs, the educational testing services. Yeah, and he's been so busy. They're on a big project, so they've been really working some long hours. So for him, one day just works, it just rolls into the next. But for me, I don't think I could have handled it. I mean, I'll work from home a day here, a day there, but for the most part, it's actually helped save my sanity. And there's no traffic, which is great.
Yeah, that's true.
I think if you look at us, we are 5 people who probably have lost their mind, and you can use us as an example of what could happen to you, really, in a situation like this down the line. I mean, you know, I mean, look at Garrick, for instance. I mean, here is a person on the edge.
Dogs all the time.
I won't put that finger out, I promise.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Have to put a little picture there or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. All of a sudden,
Closed down longer than
It is weird being alone in a house all this time, and really, and taking it, you know, to heart, and really trying to do the right thing. And you wake up and you're depressed, but it's like, why am I depressed? I live in a beautiful area. I have a pool and a pretty backyard, and I've got 3 dogs, and I'm not on the front line. So why would you feel guilty if you think anything?
I know, but everybody is dealing with it in a certain way. So
yeah, but I snap myself out of it real quick.
So
Angela, do you have any friends who are, how can I put it, in the danger zone?
As far as like first responders, no, fortunately, no one, you know, in a medical field or fire or police. It's, you know, mostly just office workers. So no one that I know personally. I mean, I know a few people who have gotten it, but not from being a first responder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are the people that have got it responding to it, dealing with it?
You know, it's different. It seems to hit everyone at really different levels, different symptoms. I mean, you hear the strangest. I mean, it took a few weeks before we started hearing about losing the taste and smell.
Right.
So there isn't one typical case that you could really say, oh yeah, you know, mine was just like that, because everyone.
And now they're saying the toes. People are getting
that new
the
thing.
toes.
Exactly.
I didn't hear that.
You get these red swollen toes, and they're saying that's one of the symptoms that some people are getting. And also pink eye is these are the rarer symptoms, but all of a sudden more and more people are getting them.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Did I hear that it's affecting mental capacity too?
I think the fever is definitely.
Well, yeah.
But they said young even young people are getting strokes now that
Oh,
were
yeah.
totally healthy
Right.
from it. So,
That's crazy.
I mean,
scary. Really is.
Yeah.
Much.
Just-
So what
it's
are
scary.
you doing to occupy yourself besides work? Anything?
Well, to be honest, I've really been busy. You know, all these people saying, "Oh, I'm cleaning out my basement. I'm doing this." I really haven't had a lot of free time. You know, on the
No.
weekend, it's just chores and so forth. But
Nice.
you know, I think I would find ways to keep myself busy if I had that extra time.
Right. It'd be
Did
nice.
you and your husband, either of you, work from home before this at all?
At my previous job, I worked from home 2 days a week. So I'm kind of used to how it goes. My husband too. So, you know, it really depends on what you do.
Don't you think it's going to really be a big thing in the future?
Oh yeah. If it wasn't before, now I think it's going to
They can
really,
see it works. Yeah.
Yeah. My new company is dead set against it. They have never allowed it. They don't have a policy about it. But now that they're seeing that, hey, we can still make great sales while people are working from home,
It's
you know,
interesting.
there's a
isn't it?
chance maybe they'll continue it. So I think we're going to see a big change in the face of the workplace, both in how offices are designed, the capacity. You know, we're already working on a plan of how to bring employees back for when that time happens, because you can't just open the doors and say, "Come on back, everyone." You know, there has to be a plan in place.
Oh yeah, right. It's gonna be slowly.
Yeah, well,
We just want to go back and have concerts.
Yes.
Did you see, Teresa sent it to me that, where was it, Teresa? They're doing the drive-in concert?
It was in Europe somewhere.
Oh, it's wild. So yeah, obviously you have to have a drive-in area.
Oh, that's
The cars
brilliant.
all come up, and I guess they would pay, if you're front row, your car gets to be in the front row, and it goes down, and they have the big screens, and the performers are on stage.
That's brilliant.
Wow.
The drive-in concerts.
Yeah.
you know, the bouncers are just to keep people from getting out of their cars. I
Yeah.
guess, right?
I can't see that being a go at all.
Oh, it's working in Europe. They're like selling out every time.
But come on, concerts are a personal thing.
But if they're
I
not
know.
allowed concerts right now, this is the next best thing.
Right.
You know, the weird thing about that would be that instead of selling individual concert tickets, you'd be like buying a carload ticket. Like, hey, I'm
Exactly. You know what?
It costs blank. However many people you can fit in there, that's your problem.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, we had a drive-in theater, and it was $2 a carload. So we'd all pile in.
Oh, yeah, you see that, the movies where they come out of the,
Trunk.
yeah, that's fun. Gosh.
Yeah.
You have any other questions, Angela?
No, this went really fast. It
I
was,
know,
it was
right?
I feel like I really know everybody. It's very relaxed and
Well, you're-
Yeah, well, we're that kind of a group, you know.
I can tell. Can tell.
We love the Tito's.
We're a happy bunch.
Were you supposed to go do the fan event? Were you planning on it, I mean?
Oh, the trip? Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So
Bummer.
it's a little disappointing, but you know,
Right, yeah,
it
what
was
can
the
you
right decision, and hopefully maybe they can reschedule it in the
Yeah.
future.
no,
The
it's-
wait and
Especially since this is his last one. So
I know. Who knows? No, he's not.
Yeah.
it's just that trip was just doomed from when it
I
was in
know. It's what we're talking
Well,
about.
yeah, I was just talking about I mean, the fact that first it was supposed to be in Punta Cana and then
Right.
that got canceled for completely different reasons. It's
Yeah.
some bad luck for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything more than anybody else, just to be, you know, just for the record.
Yeah.
But clearly this has to occur at some point
Yeah.
in the future. I mean, I haven't been told it's going to, but it's kind of got to, you know.
We can't do
Right.
anything
So-
until we know what the world's going to be
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
exactly. We don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, they've been talking a lot about a new wave coming up in the fall. So
Right.
who knows?
We'll wait and see. Yeah. it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Let's hope not.
Oh, I hope not.
I know.
But
It's
I'm
too
here
much. I
for
can't
that
do any more of this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. In California right now, they said June 19th for us to open back up. So it's depressing, but got to do what we got to do.
Right.
It's just a random
The
thing.
thing is, I can't find a shrink crazier than me. So it's really difficult to
Find
sort
a
of put
tree
your
crazier than him.
to put your trust in someone who's just a bit nuttier than you are at the time. So
That's too much. Yeah.
You can
we're all
always
going a little
do it in
crazy.
Dr. Phil, Tristan.
Yeah.
yeah, right, Dr. Phil, forget it. There's bullet to the head time there, young.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Well, Angela, thank you
I
so
like
much
this.
Thank
for
you.
being with us.
It was nice meeting everybody.
Yeah, it was nice having you with us, and I hope you had a nice little half hour with us.
I did.
Getting to know.
This was the highlight of my day, for sure.
Say,
The problem,
and
the problem
please,
is that's not that impressive.
Yes, indeed.
Cheers.
Yes,
we need more,
yes,
we need more
definitely.
supply.
Cheers.
You are without
Cheers.
question an essential service. There's no
Absolutely.
doubt about it. Thank you.
Definitely.
Yes,
Thank you.
so much.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Okay.
Wait,
Bye-bye.
we're
Oh,
gonna
wait,
just end
Tristan,
the show
you gotta
first,
wrap
and
it up.
Well, everybody, this brings to an end another 6 blocks apart. We've had a wonderful time. Angela, thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you.
And let's everybody stay safe and healthy and move on to the next show. Okay.
All right.
Cheers. Bye, Angela.
Okay.
Bye.